Auburn going to Texas A&M. Noon kick, ESPN. Texas A&M is a 7.5-point favorite at home. Makes sense. There's no way to overstate this for A&M. This is a must-win, and we kind of hate that phrase around here, must-win, but like this, the stakes cannot be overstated how high they are for Jimbo Fisher and company. You're at the crib. You've recruited so well. You've got so much talent. Also, you're up against a first-year head coach at his new spot that went to the portal and overhauled his roster to be competitive this year. Like this is the game for Jimbo Fisher where you got to knock this one out of the park. At the very least, you got to win this football game if you don't knock it out of the park. So, with that being said, Auburn is going to present some challenges. For them, I think this is kind of the game where you try and get a gauge for what they're going to be going forward. Because they haven't really played anybody just yet. Beat the brakes off Samford. They beat Cal. Like there's no real gauge for us here for Auburn. And it's just tricky to see how it's all meshing. And that was our question at the beginning of the year. For Auburn, a lot of talent. We like Peyton Thorne. But he missed spring practice. It's a new staff. There's a lot of new people on that roster and on that staff. How does it come together? I think we get a really good, like I just said, gauge and litmus test from this game against a talented Texas A&M roster. So, who's going to win this game? We'll break it down right now. Before we do that, though, make sure you're subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel. We talk college football and nothing but college football every single day live. Not once, not twice, but 3 times a week. No additives. No high fructose corn syrup. We say that a lot on here because it's true. No agendas. Just college football. Just fall Saturdays. You love college football. We love college football. We celebrate it accordingly every single day. So thank you in advance for being subscribed. Also follow me on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, and on Instagram at JD Piquel. Get at me on there. DM me or tweet at me, whatever. Let me know who you think's winning this football game and by how much. What's your pick against that number? All right. The big matchup for me. The matchup that may ultimately define this football game is the Texas A&M front seven against Auburn's RPO scheme. And I made a little note on this point. This matchup is crucial for the entirety of the game, but especially early. Because Auburn, what they want to do offensively is run the football and put that defense on its heels by going quickly and by establishing some kind of rhythm offensively. And really what they want to do is play with the second level of that defense. Could be a safety, could be a linebacker, whoever's up there playing as that read defender, the guy that we're reading if we're going to give it or pull it in the run-pass option, that's going to be someone they want to toy with their brain a little bit. Make them think they have to trigger on the run, and then wouldn't you know it, once you trigger too quickly, boom, right behind you, fares up the gut, 40-yard slant, strike up the band. Like that kind of situation where he catches it, obviously not a 40-yard slant, but catches it right around, 5-7 yards, gets north and south, strike up the band, good things going on for Auburn. Also, we're not going to explain the RPO because people have explained that to death in broadcasts, and quite frankly, y'all don't want to hear about that. So the run-pass option scheme is going to be crucial. But if Texas A&M's front seven can hold up enough early and can put this into a situation where Texas A&M is up 13 points. Texas A&M is up by, let's say, 3 scores, 17-0. Well, then what happens? The game goes back on Peyton Thorne. And Peyton Thorne, as much as we think he's a talented quarterback, and as much as we think of him as being the right guy at Auburn, there's been a little bit of a lack of consistency to this point. We said at the top of this breakdown, Peyton Thorne did not get spring practice. I believe that Peyton Thorne is still getting comfortable in this offense. Not a crime, not illegal to take you a second to figure it out as the quarterback of an SEC football team, but against A&M, they have the talent in that front seven, Walter Nolan, LT Overton. They got some guys that can make your life a little bit uncomfortable. So if they can't run the football and the game goes on to Peyton Thorne, then things get a little bit interesting. Now, in the same way, I'm curious to watch this chess battle between Auburn's defensive coordinator, Ron Roberts, and Connor Wegman. Because for Connor Wegman, man, he's extremely talented. And that's not saying a ton. We already know that. You already know that if you watch college football and you watch Texas A&M, even if you watch them lose to Miami, you saw Connor Wegman do some really good things. They cannot allow him to sit back there and play 7-on-7. Can't do it. You can't play conservative against this Texas A&M offense because they have too many weapons that will at some point in time get open. So what do? You have to dial it up a little bit. And when I say dial it up, it doesn't have to be applying pressure necessarily. It means you got to throw confusing pictures at him with this 4-2-5 defense. Ron Roberts, has essentially a non-defensive lineman rush defender called a creeper. Keep an eye on how they utilize that player, where they line him up at. Is he going to blitz? Is he sitting back in the coverage? What is Connor Wegman doing with that picture? At best, could force some turnovers. Okay, we give our offense some extra possessions, give our offensive line that's a little bit dinged up a chance to gain some momentum in the run game, get a better push, and kind of wear on that front seven of A&M. Okay, hey, things kind of get rolling now if that happens. Now, at worst, if you're able to confuse them a little bit, you force some acclimation. Going back to what I just said about the offense for Auburn, maybe Texas A&M has a few more 3-and-outs early. Maybe Connor Wegman's on the headset and they're saying, hey, what are you seeing? He's like, I don't know. Talk to me. What are you seeing in the box? Like, that would be the conversation that could potentially happen if Ron Roberts is able to kind of win this chess game. So can you keep him guessing? That's crucial. Can you keep him unsure of the picture? Because the risk that you take there is if you gamble and try and be too confusing for Connor Wegman, you try and get too exotic, the more exotic you get, the more exposed you likely leave your defense. And you don't want to leave your defense exposed against Evan Stewart, against Moose Muhammad, against all the weapons they have on that offense. And so if Texas A&M doesn't get confused, like you throw something out there in the first couple of series and he feels like, okay, actually, I do know what I'm seeing. You're trying to trick me. I already know what you're doing. I'm a step ahead. Bang, quick strike for Texas A&M. Things get dicey early for Auburn. Now, the game that is within this game that I think could maybe define who ends up winning this football game, a lot of uses of the word game there, but I hope you're tracking. The question for me is twofold. Can anyone for Texas A&M in the secondary cover what Auburn has in that pass catcher room? I'm not talking just receivers. I'm talking Rivaldo Fairweather, the FIU transfer playing tight end. He is a freak show. Expect his targets to go up in this football game. Jay Fair, they love what he's done in the slot. Expect him to get a fair amount of targets. My concern is for Texas A&M, the way they looked against Miami, man. Miami didn't run the football extremely effectively, and they still threw the ball for like 370 yards. Like, Miami didn't force Texas A&M to play super honest. They just wheeled and dealed all around the yard. And outside of Xavier Restrepo for Miami, like, there wasn't really a receiver that gives you a ton of concern if you're Texas A&M. Like, it wasn't a bunch of just all-pro guys running around, run all over A&M. You chalk it up to a talent thing. No. They just got straight up beat. And I wonder if this Auburn pass catcher talent level is higher than what Miami had. That would concern me if I'm an A&M fan. So, one is, can they win if you're Auburn? And I don't mean win this football game. We'll talk about our pick here in a second. I mean, can your pass catchers win one-on-one? Can they win one-on-one? And if they can, that's the first part of it. It's only half the battle. The other part goes back to Peyton Thorne. I told y'all earlier, they want to make Peyton Thorne meet him, right? Hey, Peyton Thorne, game's in your hands. When your guys win, can you consistently hit them? Has to be a yes for Auburn to win this football game. So listen, we were breaking this thing down in the room next to the studio right before we went live. I'm telling you, man, I went back and forth. Back and forth. I picked Auburn, then I picked A&M. Went back and forth for a little bit longer. I think this roster as a whole favors Texas A&M. I think the weapons and the way that it matches up for Auburn probably favors Auburn. What it comes down to for me, man, I have no clue on what Peyton Thorne's going to be. Not throughout his time at Auburn. I think over a longer period of time, he'll be pretty good at Auburn. I just think with this one being in Kyle Field and the quarterback play, in my mind right now, favoring Connor Wegman, and the fact that Texas A&M, quite honestly, just has to win this football game. This is as much of a must-win as you can have in Week 4 as there is humanly possible for Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M, in a close one, it could go either way, could definitely go either way, but we're going to pick Texas A&M to win this football game. Final score 27-24 in College Station. Game Time is the place for last-minute ticket deals, all right? So forget planning months in advance. Forget the whole, we got to make sure we have this weekend free because we're hoping we can get tickets for this game. Like, no, right up to the day of the event. You want to go to Florida State Clemson? You want to go be at that game? You can wait till Saturday morning. Game Time has got you covered. The fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the big-time matchups. We're about to get college football season rolling here, so the elite deals are over at Game Time. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets on all the sports entertainment events. The game time guarantee, this is cool. The game time guarantee means you'll always get the best price if you find tickets in the same section and row for less. Game time says, you know what, we'll credit you 110% of the difference. So snag tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download now, this is crucial. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code HARDCOUNT for $20 off your first purchase. You find some tickets you like, a little bit pricey, I wish they were $20 less. Use code HARDCOUNT, $20 off, problem solved. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code HARDCOUNT for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. So shout out Game Time for getting the people to where they need to go on college football Saturday, man. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of the Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.